and welcome back to another episode of Research Works here at Slovenia 2023. I have been having the best time talking to a bunch of researchers and presenters, and this one's what we will call a friend of the show, Associate Professor Helen Bourke Taylor. Welcome back. Nice to see you in person.
Thank you, Dana. We've never met, but we met in Slovenia.
I know, right? It's so good. So for people who've listened to the Research Works podcast before, Helen did share a lot of her work back then, which really inspired me to go down this whole path. So it's lovely to finally meet Helen in person from Monash University. But you also do some work that incorporate other disciplines too, don't you?
Yeah, so part of my job, I am in the occupational therapy program, and I do the clinical honours projects.
Wonderful.
But I'm also the overall coordinator of post-professional masters in advanced paediatric physiotherapy.
That's so good.
One that's recognised by the Australian Physio Association, in OT, and then there's other disciplines, medical imaging, radiation therapy, and paramed. So it's a bit different, but yes, that's part of my job.
I love that, and I think that's the whole, to be able to work cross disciplines. It's a really good direction for us to head into.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, today I'll be talking to you about a presentation which you only just finished, so you literally came running from it.
I ran.
And the presentation title was Online Healthy Mothers, Healthy Families Workshops, Positive Health and Lifestyle Impact for Mothers of Children with Disabilities. Now, as you know, I'm a fan of this work, and there's so much passion, there's so much reason why you do this, but can you help us to sort of set the scene again of why it is that you developed this and why you do what you do?
Yeah, so in brief, there's a tsunami of research that says that mothers have higher risk for poor health outcomes, and particularly mental health.
Yeah.
So we can't ignore that tsunami of research any longer, and we can't keep on researching mothers and saying, hey, they're more highly stressed, they have more depressive symptoms. We actually have to design programs that will assist mothers to improve the situation for themselves.
Yeah.
Go to a doctor, go to a psychologist, go out for a coffee with a friend, whatever health behaviours they need to adopt to feel better. It's really about, there's a temporal barrier to any disability, and what I mean by that, of course, is that there's just not enough minutes in the day if you're slower at doing things, and but for mothers, they spend up to 3 times as much time in direct child care tasks, and so there's a loss of time for their own health promoting behaviours, following up with their own health practitioners. So my program is really helping mothers to become empowered and be as effective for their own health and well-being as they are for their children, because they will prioritise their children every time.
That's
part of motherhood. But of course, mothers for children with additional care needs, children's needs are longer term than other children. So the program's now been going. Well, I started the research when I was pregnant with my son, and he turns 18 in 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
So I've been committed to mothers for a really long time, and I don't intend to stop anytime soon. And so we've had over 2,000 mothers involved in research to some extent now over that time.
It's wonderful.
And so what I presented about just then was we converted the program to online workshops. So it was 3 2-hour workshops.
Yes.
And the 3 workshops are connected with a messaging program. So the mothers form a little group there online, and then they come back 3 weeks later, have a 2-hour workshop, messaging online, come back for a 2-hour workshop.
Wonderful.
So,
And who facilitates these meetings when they're online? How does that work?
Yes, so I trained another 7 mothers of children with disabilities to become competent at delivering the program. So I already had a competency program, and I think that might have been the first podcast I did with you. So I already have that program, and it's a curriculum. So it's about 50 hours of training. In mental health, the risk minimisation strategy means that the women who deliver healthy mothers have to be very good at recognising issues, directing mothers to resources. So it's a 50-hour program that involves some debrief with me, some Zoom sessions with me. There's a self-paced package. So this time was the first time that I was not involved in the program.
Okay.
So I did suffer. I didn't like that very much because I do love to interact with mothers. But I handed it over to mothers who were trained, and they delivered 20 workshops from 2020 to 2022.
And those years seem to pop up in my head about why it was the case. Was the online format something that you had intended to go down all along anyway, or did the pandemic kind of make us go down that path?
Well, Dana, it was, I won't say luck because there was no luck at that time, but it was a coincidence.
Yeah.
We had decided to deliver it online because we thought that we would reach more mothers. And what actually happened was, in the previous 2 years, we delivered 23 face-to-face. And in these 2 years of the pandemic, we did 20 online. We had like 25% more single mothers attending.
Wow.
So less well-resourced mothers were able to come.
Okay.
And so that was a big difference.
Yep.
The face-to-face workshop is probably still preferred by a lot of mothers, and there's a slight higher effectiveness for that element.
Okay.
But no, so it just happened. We got a grant, and then the pandemic hit, and we were like, we were ready for it. So we just ran our first group, and I know it was crazy.
Yeah.
But it, we had about 598 mothers enrolled to come.
Wow.
So we had a control group and we had the intervention group. Okay. And I think only about 300 ended up coming.
Okay.
And we had, in the control group, we had about 70-ish mums. Okay. And then who did the pre and post test, and then in the intervention group about the same. Okay. So and it was collected over 8 weeks.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So what happened to the mums who were in the control group? What did that look like for them?
So they basically volunteered their time to further research about mothers, children with disabilities. And so they just completed the health promoting activity scale and, some depression, anxiety, stress scales. And they also did, a couple of other things, related to that. And then they volunteered their time 8 weeks later to do the post-test.
Okay.
They were then eligible to come into the program. It was fine. They just needed to have no plans to participate in it for the next sort of 8 to 10 weeks.
Sure.
Yeah. So that was how we managed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, talk us through now a little bit more about the actual intervention, the content of the workshops, or the online forms. Yeah.
Right. So the content is, we have a very set menu of activities to work through. So they include things like, connecting with this word carer, for example, because mothers don't connect with that word. They see themselves as mothers.
Mother, yep.
And so dismantling all of the skills that they have related to that role, so that they're good at communicating, organising, multitasking, all those things. Yeah. And later in the workshop, we bring that up as sort of saying, you're so highly skilled as a mother managing your child who has, whatever additional care needs. What we're asking you to do is turn those skills onto your own, managing your own health and your own lifestyle, healthy lifestyle. So there's that sort of activity. We use the Journey of Mothers, which looks at, this is the most popular element of the program, where we take mothers through, initial shock and grief into seekership, where they will trial lots of different things, meet lots of different therapists, stick with the ones they like, discard the ones they don't like, move into a disability focus where they want to be very much educated by programs, and then into a more balanced phase. And so mothers very much identify with this phase. We have ways to interact with mothers according to what phase they say they're in. Okay. If they're in seekership, well, you're a therapist, will provide more written information, use more education.
That's amazing.
Really improve that mother's competency, because she is seeking. Yes. There is alternative medicine out there. There is all sorts of risks to families. Yes. Take that opportunity, educate with evidence. Yep. Then they choose in the disability focus phase to use an effective program. Great. We don't have false hope. We have real programs that can be as effective as possible. So that seekership phase is an opportunity for therapists to intervene and do exactly what your podcast is trying to do, which is help parents to be very good decision makers in evidence-based programs and what they choose for their children. So they're just a couple of small parts. We also have psychoeducation. We have, what sorts of supports are available in mental health in Australia. Why would you use a physiotherapist? Why would you use psychological services, that sort of stuff. So very dense with information. We've had a women's health GP associated for 7 years. We've had physio who does women's health physio, dietetics.
Yep.
I've had a yoga instructor. Well, I mean, it was dreadful. We had a yoga instructor. I was trying to do the yoga with all the mums, and they were laughing at me because I was so inflexible. But we've had we've brought in lots of things based on what mothers say they want.
Yeah. And I love before we get to the results, but I just do want to make a comment about how incredible it is. Already at the conference, we've had a few keynote speakers who've really highlighted the unique challenges or the amazing skill sets that mothers do have. Even just speaking with Ruslan about his experience in Ukraine, and he was talking about Ukrainian mothers. He goes, they are just a force to be reckoned with, and to manage their expectations when things have had to shift was really important, and part of that process too, and offering hope but providing support in times of need. And I love that there are programs that are really specific for the unique challenges that mothers do have, and I love that you talk about carers and being able to separate what that might look like too, because I don't think we have that in our common language.
Yes.
And I think that can be very isolating for parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm really, I love the way you've said that, and it reminds me that all the progress we see in children with disabilities is due to mothers. Therapists, medical people have a way minor role. And so that guy I didn't hear that. I wish I'd been there, but it's we need to support mothers, we need to support fathers, we need to support siblings, of course. And, my program is just one member of the family. Someone else needs to do, you could do that if you want, Dana, you want to do dads.
But it's very unique, right? It's unique, so we can identify and match them. They're not competing programs. They tailor to the right population who have different needs.
They have different needs.
That's important.
Yes.
So, all right, share with us your results now.
Okay, so we had... the comparison, I'm about to write this up, but the comparison of the control group to the intervention group was statistically significant at high levels for improvement in health-promoting behaviours.
Great.
Reduction in depression, stress, anxiety, symptomatology.
Amazing.
So the difference between the two groups was highly significant, but the change in time for the intervention group was also highly significant.
Right. So
it's a replication of results.
Yes.
And, I've been doing that sort of research for a long time, and I think any way I've assessed it, it's the same result. And the truth is that the mothers are able to make the change for themselves because they're empowered to do so and they're supported to do so. And so it's not a magic program. They're doing all the work. We're just giving them the tools.
Yes. Yep. I would say I can relate this to some people that I've met recently and to some mothers who have, recently come into a diagnosis for their child. And I remember our last conversation that we did have, and it was just one aspect of health promoting behaviour where the mum decided that she would look after herself and go for a walk every morning. Yeah. And the change that made and the way that she talked about it was just, it was life changing. It helped her to then cope. And this is why I love your program so much. I want it to be available for everyone. So how do people get access to this now that you've had these significant results that show what you've just shown? They are life-changing results. Yeah. What happens now?
Yeah. So you can go to the Healthy Mothers, Healthy Families website. Okay. So you just Google Healthy Mothers, Healthy Families.com.
Yep.
And when you come to that website, you should see a lady walking towards a tower of shapes that comes together, because that is the balance she's trying to achieve in her life. And you go in there and you will see videos of mothers with their goals for immediate change, 4-week change, longer-term change. It's a nice soft entry point for therapists to show this is the site. Mothers are in the site. They tell you about, it's not let me tell you how to improve your mental health. It's not like that. It's really like, this is how it's been done.
Yeah.
But if you go there and you look at under news, you'll see that there are another 11 free workshops available between now and June next year, and that's funded by Department of Social Services.
Amazing.
And so therapists can go to the website, show the mothers the news item, they can register for the workshop, and they can attend for free. And that's the same program as the one that I just talked about the results from. So it's the same facilitators.
Incredible. Yep.
They get an e-workbook, they get access to the website, and then they have 6 hours of intervention across that, and they get the messaging.
Okay.
So look, Australian government's done an amazing job supporting this program. So there is another year. So please fill up those workshops if you're a therapist listening and you can think of mothers who would like to do it. There is no cost. After June next year, I don't know what's going to happen with the program because there's always, the next hill to climb. I've just been on a train through Austria, so I'm thinking about hills. But at the moment, it's free, so please use it. There's also a professional section for you to do your own CPD. And so I just invite you to explore that.
That is
and
wonderful.
Use what you'd like to.
Is that geo-locked to Australians only? Can anyone outside still Google it and find out all that information?
Yes, I have 14,000 users across the world.
Incredible.
It's been in most countries.
Wow.
So I can tell you now 67% of users are in Australia, 15% are in the US, and they're scattered all over the place.
That's brilliant.
So it's only in English, but it's certainly accessible.
Oh, fabulous. Okay. All right, well, what will be your main take-home for clinicians based on this work now? What would you really encourage people who are listening to do and, put into action now?
Recognise that you are a very important person in the mother's life. You're working with her child. She is relying on you for education, skill development. She faces a lifetime of caring for that child, and you have a key role in helping her to become confident. So thank you for that. Given that, though, just like you go home and you've got your own family and you probably work out after work and then you go for a drink with your mates, alcoholic or not, mums also need to be directed towards health-promoting behaviours in their own health professionals.
Yep.
So please consider ways to break open that conversation with mothers when you know them, because you'll know what's realistic. You don't tell a mother who's got a wheelchair child, bound child and twins, with autism to go for a jog at 6 o'clock every night because you know her life situation and you're therefore in a really good position to work with her on the daily routine around her health. So you do it with her about her family and her child with disabilities. You can help her through that and you have the skills. So I'm saying that to every paediatric therapist out there. And just thanks for everything you're doing.
Oh, no, that's wonderful. Helen, thank you. You're always so inspiring. Every time I speak with you, I always feel like I'm elevated to another level. So thank you for your time, for sharing your knowledge once again. And for all of our listeners out there, remember I have links to this on our website, researchworks.net. And thanks for tuning in once more. We will chat with you another time soon. There's more to come. Thanks so much. Bye.